Hey everybody, welcome back to Visual Novel Book Club. I'm your pal Slowbeef, coming to you live from a hotel in Cincinnati. With me, of course, my good friend Pulahoko.
Hey.
My good friend Jim.
Hey everybody.
My good friend Oren Ronan.
Good evening.
My good friend Turbo C.
Howdy.
My good friend Devious Vacuum.
Hi everybody.
We did the same thing as last week. We all picked a character, and we're all just gonna go for it. And with this time, there's an imposed 10-minute time limit, just to make things exciting. So,
Oh wow, we're telling them. Okay.
Yeah, good luck.
Turbo, that's right. And there's an actual timer. I'm gonna start it now. You're Achi. Go.
All right, so Achi is the Scooby-Doo mystery goes along, and you'll see what I mean by that in a second. So we start off with Kanan meets Hitomi and Achi. So we learn that Maria knew Kanan, and Kanan states that it is her fault that Maria was abducted and that she wants to get her back. But before we can figure out why Kanan can explain that it's her fault.
9 minutes 30.
Asshole.
There's a timer in Audacity.
Penalties now.
There's a timer in Audacity so you can see how long. You can't fool them.
9:15. You better keep moving.
Okay, so Kanan, several accomplices of the foreign syndicate show up, and Kanan's like, I'm gonna hold them off. You guys run on ahead. And then we see a tattoo on her wrist. We don't get a good look at it, but it doesn't look like the two-headed scorpion or whatever that they were talking about before. It just looks like a simple tribal tattoo. So Hitomi and Achi run, and then they realize that Achi hasn't eaten since this morning. So he takes a burning hammer. No, they run to a fast food place to eat, and Achi notices a flyer for an iron stomach eating contest in which you have to eat 1,000 scoops of ice cream to win 10 million yen.
That's so many.
It's too many scoops.
I can't think of where they're going with this.
And if you look at the hint text for that, it's all of it is poop jokes about how that will ruin your intestinal tract.
1,000 scoops, 100 scoops would be wild. 1,000.
Even just 20 is a lot.
The thing that's goofy about Achi in this, well, it is goofy every time I read anything that takes place in Japan, is people going to a fast food restaurant and ordering spaghetti. That is so funny to me. I do not know why. It's hilarious.
It looked like good spaghetti, too. But anyways, Hitomi gets very introverted and talks about how she's not like Maria. Introspective, not introverted.
Wait. Speaking about spaghetti, did you get the tip about how meat sauce in Japan is not as good as real meat sauce spaghetti?
Yeah, it's basically ketchup with stuff inside.
Yeah, so that's true. If you get meat sauce in Japan for spaghetti, don't expect a lot of meat in it. It's basically ketchup. So just so you know.
Sugary like ketchup, sweet?
No, it's ketchup with a little meat in it. It's basically tomato sauce with a little bit of meat in it.
Just like a liquidy kind of meat sauce, a liquidy tomato sauce. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually not bad, but don't expect American style meat sauce. Yeah. So that tip is true.
Gotcha. Turbo, you got 7 minutes.
Oh my
so
God.
Hitomi laments that she is not as adventurous as Maria. Then Achi's like, hold on. You may be twins, but you're each unique. And Hitomi talks about how Professor Palmer said the same thing, and that Leland has given her lots of advice in the past.
That's also where she says that they make it very clear that they don't have the same blood type, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that they're not identical twins, which I find a little difficult to believe.
I think they had to explain away that part of it.
Yeah, the blood thing. Because you would have the same blood type if you were identical twins, I think.
Pretty sure,
Yeah, you would. I mean, it's possible that you wouldn't, but I mean, most identical twins do.
You're basically clones, is my understanding of the science, which is nothing.
Yeah, I mean, one of them hijacks the island in Alaska and grabs Metal Gear.
6 minutes.
So Achi starts thinking that Leland and Hitomi are a thing, and that Hitomi has a thing for middle-aged guys.
Why does everyone think that in this game? Fuck off.
Because she referenced 2 older men in passing.
Women only talk about men if they're sleeping with them.
It's true. They call that the Bechdel-san test in Japanese.
So there's a couple that start gossiping about Hitomi like 2 feet from her. Hitomi was apparently Miss Midoriyama, and Leland actually convinced her to enter the beauty contest. But as it turns out, Maria had entered too, so the 2 of them tied for first because they are twins. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
Hitomi doesn't believe that she actually won, and that was just like, you know, Maria actually won, and they just wanted to make a good story by having twins win. Hitomi considers herself a terrible person, and starts crying, saying, "I can never forgive myself for what I did." And then goes into saying that the night that Maria was kidnapped, the 2 of them were supposed to go to a college party together. Woo! But at the last minute, Maria told Hitomi not to go. They got mad at each other, and Hitomi yelled at her sister. At this point, Hitomi actually notes that Maria is not the type of person to boss Hitomi around. So she assumes that Maria must have had a good reason to say not to go.
And then Maria gave her the wrong time on purpose, so she'd arrive late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sort of eventually says, "All right, fine, show up at this time."
So it seems like Maria was in on it.
Well, she knew that Hitomi was going to get kidnapped and wanted to get kidnapped instead to protect her sister.
Oh, yeah. So she probably said she was Hitomi, yeah.
So back at the narrative, Achi notices Hitomi's shirt is ripped, so they go to get her new one. And this is a very boring sequence, to which I even pointed out in my notes that the only interesting part of this segment was that Amy from Sonic was in the background. And then, holy shit, Yanagishita shows up. So Yanagishita thinks she's Tama, or Maria, and asks if Achi is the boyfriend.
Yeah, this game doesn't waste any time in like doing a lot of close calls and people mistaking twins.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of these in this chapter.
Yeah, tons of it.
And we'll get to it in a second, but they split up and Achi starts chasing around different ones of them. Yanagishita tells Hitomi to hold on to this worn out magazine for a bit and then just sort of runs away. Achi, since they split up because Hitomi's trying on clothes, notices Maria and thinking that Hitomi follows after her. But while he's following after her, bumps into a guy yelling on the phone who is yelling about a lock and a minivan, which I'm going to guess will tie into the cutscene we saw at the beginning.
Yeah, and later on in the chapter we'll find out who this person is.
Yeah. So, sorry, 1 second. What the fuck?
Oh no, Turbo's wasting their valuable last 2 minutes on this interruption.
Well, while we have this downtime, I'd just like to present the math. 1,000 scoops of ice cream is equal to about 31.5 gallons.
Thank you for your service.
Sorry, my cat was trying to climb into the ventilation system.
Are you sure it's your cat and not an identical fraternal twin cat that looks a lot like your cat?
Who's infiltrating your home?
Was it a cat wearing a human suit?
Yeah, it was my own little Tama. Okay, so where the fuck were we? Okay, so Achi stumbles into this store where an employee is crying and says that they are closed.
The Chinese restaurant, yeah.
Yeah, it's a restaurant. So we look inside and we see Chiri, who apparently ate all the food in the restaurant.
The wildest thing about Chiri is that she's not that fat, and yet they keep acting like she is.
She's not even fat. She's just like a little overweight, and they're like, the biggest person in freaking Tokyo is eating all the food.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't know, like a size 10, maybe? Size 12? Like, oh my god.
I'm conflicted about this whole scene because, again, it just falls back to, hey, Chiri's fat and she eats a lot of food. But the worker at the buffet is just hilarious. Like, they frame it like she's this survivor, like she ran into this cryptid and she's got like fake tears on her face and she's acting freaked out.
She's like clawing at the window of the restaurant.
And she has a whole backstory.
These are like cartoonish tears, too.
Yeah, they treat it like it's a little horror scene.
It's very funny. The waitress.
Yeah.
So Achi can't find Hitomaria, but looks out the window and sees a bunch of syndicate that are hanging around outside on the bottom floor. And then we get a keep out section, and Maria is the one to fix this if you're playing along. So as we jump back, Achi finds Maria, but Maria is just super confused who this random stranger is talking to her and walks away. Achi follows her but loses track very quickly. Then he sees Hitomi taking the escalator to the first floor, but while he's on the escalator to the first floor, sees Maria taking the escalator up to the second floor and Scooby-Doo running through all the different doors, blah, blah, blah. This goes on for a little bit. Eventually, he does find Hitomi being harassed by the two thugs that were trying to get money from Yanagishita in a different thread of this chapter. They then threaten the two of them, but one of them recognizes Achi, and he's like, oh, fuck, I get to fight Mean Clean. Hell yeah. So we get a choice here to either fight them, apologize, or run away. Achi even notes that the guy looks like a professional, well, or at least has trained in boxing, so that he would probably not win this fight. So I picked running. I'm not sure it actually matters because almost immediately after the choice, the elevator behind the two thugs opens up and we see Toyama.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yay.
I apologized, and he just like started to apologize and then got cut off.
I chose to fight, and Achi, like, I think he starts, that's right. He is like, I need to go for a low kick, and my timing's got to be just right, and then the elevator opens before anything happens, if I remember.
So Toyama sees the thugs, then immediately presses the door close button on the elevator, and the thugs chase after him.
And they're like, you wait right here.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they do actually sort of wait here for a second while they argue about how Achi wasn't at the meeting place, but Hitomi kept running away from Achi and blah blah. So Achi notices that Hitomi still has the magazine that Yanagishita gave him.
And also during just real quick, between all this stuff, while they're arguing over who was there and who was not, they don't realize that her twin could be there.
No, they're just
nobody
like,
figures this out.
Yeah, Hitomi. Yeah, Hitomi is the only one that could put this puzzle together. Achi's an idiot. Maria has amnesia.
Yeah, Achi's too thick for this.
well, there's Achi and Yanagishita. They basically put the two dumbest men in charge of these two women,
Yanagishita knows.
so that neither of them could recognize that they are not changing clothes.
I want to see Achi and Yanagishita adventures.
Yeah.
And
He's
at
great.
some point, Hitomi says, "Oh, I was trying on some different outfits," and then Achi goes, "Oh, different outfits. That explains it." Like he's like, no, he thinks that she was trying on different outfits and then running around the mall, and that's who he saw.
Gotta test them out, see how they breathe.
He's like, must be some girl thing.
So Yanagishita shows up again and takes the magazine from Hitomi and then tries to scratch off the scratcher inside. And then Toyama shows up again, grabs the scratcher from Yanagishita and tries to scrap haphazardly at it to sort of make the scratcher worthless. But he accidentally scratches it all off in the correct order and makes it a winning prize. And then they both run off into the sunset fighting over this magazine.
And I thought, Yanagishita figured it out by now that you can see the correct results, but he didn't. Apparently he didn't.
No.
He just wanted to try it again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Maria did, but didn't tell him.
Yeah. Well, she tried, but he didn't listen. Yeah.
So Achi and Hitomi try and head for an exit, but it suddenly locks off, and the loudspeaker announces that only the main entrance of this mall area is open. So they're suspicious of this, but they head towards the first floor exit when Achi notices the man with a cane. Then Hitomi notices behind them the two thugs that were harassing them earlier, and the two thugs spot them and start approaching, but then they get scared by something and run away. So Achi and Hitomi, trying to avoid the cane man, head to the second floor by going up a down escalator, but who would block them except Chiri?
I wanted to bring this up when we were talking about how Chiri's not that fat, because it's like, they're like, I can't possibly get past Chiri, she's so big, but like, no.
Yeah,
like, you could totally get, it's like so easy.
They show you a picture of it. It's not that hard to like just sort of meander around her.
If anything's the problem, it's that the escalator's a little narrow, but even then, like, anyone would present the problem. She's just normal sized.
Yeah, and she's just standing there, like, wide. Like, if she just turned to the side, you could easily get past her.
Yeah.
So,
jeez.
Suddenly, the cane man assassin rushes outside after seeing something, and then Achi and Hitomi go outside too. And then sneaking up behind them outside is Kanan, and we're back where we started. This whole chapter was nothing for those two.
Oh, also the reason the debt collectors, when they show up and they see, the last time they see Hitomi and Achi and they get scared and run away, is because as Maria, you threw one of them down the hallway, and so they think that Hitomi's Maria, and now they're scared of her.
Oh wait, we're done?
Yeah, that was it.
That's a TBC for Achi.
We just saw Kanan, and that sort of ended it.
All right, I got you at 16 minutes, 45 and 33 hundredths of a second.
I blame the rest of you for those 7 minutes.
But without the asides, then it's just a book report.
No, that's true, yeah.
In conclusion, that's why Shibuya Scramble is a good game. The end.
No, absolutely, true.
So I found out this week that the actress who plays Kanan was only 14 when they made this game.
Oh yeah, you can tell. She's a little baby.
I think she looks older than 14 though.
But she looks, to me, she looks very young. And I was like, why is she, like, she's very clearly younger than Hitomi and Maria. And I was like, what? Why? Why is the assassin a baby?
Okay, so we start off with Maria's in front of the sales clerk, and at this point he points out that she looks really familiar, and she thinks he's just kind of flattering her and asks for a discount, and he's about to admit that he just found the thing on the side of the road, but instead he knocks off like 10,000 yen. And at this point, it's significant that he points out that she has a tear in the left shoulder of her orange sweater, which is in the same place as Hitomi's white one. And you get the choice where you can it's to get rid of the cat suit, and it's either dispose of the cat suit yourself or to let the clerk dispose of it. And I guess the proper choice here is to do it yourself. And the clerk looks a little disappointed, so you basically you take off and you go look to get rid of the costume, and you find the shop boy, who is the same guy that Achi and Hitomi ran into back on when he was throwing away the garbage earlier on, and it's the same one apparently that Sasayama got rid of his disguise by getting into the same guy
at this point.
Yeah, and well, actually, she's like, you know, could I throw this away? And he's like, sure, why not? Everybody else is just throwing the crap at me all day. You might as well let this one too. And apparently, this is the same guy who the Chiri threw away her boxes of empty bottles and stuff. And so she, because of this tear in her sweater, and you know, just to buy a replacement shirt, heads over to the mall, the Shibuya Gigo, and she runs into Toyama, who's looking for Hana, and sort of, and he's just, he comes up to her and asks her if you've seen a daughter, and then, she doesn't know how to deal with this, and then runs into Yanagashita in the hallway, scooping a bunch of copies of 4-star General Gossip, because he's hoping to settle his debt by winning the 100K prize 30 different times. This is his get-rich-quick scheme. And, get rich quick scream. It just turns me into Achi. Let's say that.
The winning the ice cream contest would be the get rich quick cream.
Yes.
For God's sake, say something, Jim.
Oh my God, no, he lost connection too.
Oh my God, is something wrong with Discord?
I guess so. It must be.
It would not be very quick to eat 31 gallons of ice cream.
No, it would take a bit. Well, now it's just you and me.
What's happening?
Before one of us goes, I guess.
Should we just call in the chat instead of using your server?
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. All right, and then there were 5.
Well, I can keep going in the Tama thing, I guess.
Sure. Okay. Where the hell is Jim?
Where were we? So good thing both of us read this.
This is going to be a hell to edit, but I'll figure it out.
Yes, rip in advance, rip in pepperoni, Zoran Ronan. So Maria is, so Yanagashita is looking through all the gossip magazines for scratch cards, and of course we're supposed to be like, if only he knew how easy it was to win them just by holding them up to the light. And Maria, I like how Maria calls him boss, it's cute, and she holds one of the cards up to the light and she sees that you can see the symbols through it, and she's like, wait a minute, boss, but he doesn't listen. And throughout both Achi and Maria's chapters are just Yanagashita, the debt collectors, and Toyama running around the entire mall constantly. And so the debt collectors show up, and Yanagashita and Maria hide in a photo booth, and he's like, kind of makes a pass at her, and she's like, no, ew. But it doesn't seem to be like it seems to be all in good fun.
Yeah, you all know what kind of photo booth this is. It's Purikura.
It's like a couple's photo booth,
it's
yeah.
Purikura, very popular here. And then you get little stickers out of it, and you can decorate them with hearts and stickers.
Yeah, so they do that. And to make it, to keep up the facade. So they take a bunch of pictures, so that's funny. And you see them together making faces. And then she ditches him and goes to buy clothes. She also is buying new clothes. And while she's walking around in the store, she's looking. She reaches her hand into her pocket and she realizes that she has a photo in her pocket, and it's a photo of Stanley, the CIA operative that's with Kano, and Kano. And she vaguely remembers Kanan warning her to stay away from him, but she doesn't remember who Kanan is yet. And so she buys a shirt and heads out, and this is where you really get to see their personalities, I guess, because I didn't realize up until this point how conservatively Hitomi was dressed until we see Maria in more of like a casual outfit. And she runs into Achi. This is a keep out in one of their chapters or something like that. And we have to get away from him by going a certain direction. And one way is you go upstairs, see the mysterious man talking on his phone. The other way is we run into Yanagashita again, and we find that he gave the winning magazine to Hitomi, and so he's like, I gave you the magazine, like, don't you, where is it? And she's like, you didn't give me a magazine. And he's like, yes, I did. But before we can get too far into it, the elevator opens, and the debt collectors are back, and but Yanagashita, not to give up, drags drags Maria into the elevator with the three of them and keeps asking for the magazine and tells the debt collectors that she has this magazine that has this winning ticket in it. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It is unclear who they believe. Then the elevator doors open and Toyama's right there about to get in the elevator, and he's like, oh, and he runs away, and the debt collectors chase after him instead. The next place that Maria goes is to the Chinese restaurant where Chiri ate all the food. And there's like a whole backstory in the tooltip of the waitress that works there and how she's crying because she got yelled at by her manager because she painted her nails black, and she wasn't, it's like not, it's bad. I don't know. He said you can't have black nails, so he made her go to the bathroom and try to scrub off the nail polish with soap and water, which doesn't work. So her nails are like kind of like half painted, and she's crying and she's upset.
So what did they call the restaurant in English?
Oh, I don't remember. It was like generic. If it had a name, it was like the same kind of thing a Chinese restaurant would be called in America, like China Palace or something.
So this entire thing, this entire restaurant is a reference that no one in the English-speaking world will understand. And I doubt many Japanese playing today will understand too.
Oh, it was something morbid. Yeah, I remember now.
It's a reference to another Chunsoft game that came out a year before this one. Another visual novel, a horror visual novel. And the restaurant is named like it's a pun of the name of the game, and everything that's going on in it is specific references to things in this game.
Oh, that's great. Tell me more about the game.
So that's why it's like the black nails, and you get like a little horse thing, a little video, right?
Oh, so that's why. I thought it was just a weird thing that happened.
So yes, no, it's direct reference to another game that Chunsoft published. It's another visual novel like that's all photos, like this one, but it's horror. It's actual horror.
I think it works as a goofy joke as well, with out of context. It's still quite funny that just like all of a sudden there's a horror theme for no reason. It's pretty funny.
For a second, I was like, wait a minute, is this like what we're seeing, and is this like a side effect of the virus? But it turned out to just be a joke.
Yep.
So then, Maria goes to she goes in the restaurant even though the waitress tells her not to, which is like, we see that this is very Maria. Maria is more just like, she just does her own thing. She does what she wants when she wants. She's confident, and more aware. And she finds Hana resting in like the waiting area, and she's just like lying on. Oh, earlier in this chapter, Toyama comes up to her and was like, have you seen my daughter? And so she sees Hana, and Hana's just lying despondently on these chairs, just like looking up at the ceiling. And so she's like, hey, your dad's looking for you. And she takes her to the security office, and they have like a moment in the elevator where Hana's like, what's your deal? Why are you helping? Like, why are you in my business? And she's like, I don't. You can say two different things, but I don't think it matters. You could say, oh, I like helping people, or you can say like, I get bored when I'm alone. And then Hana's like, me too.
I've noticed a theme with Tama and Maria's choices is that they have a lot of choices that just don't matter. Like her in particular.
But it can be nice to just like, not every choice matters, but it can be confusing in a game like this where you're not, especially if you're not reading the hints. I think it could probably be confusing with how to fix a bad ending.
Right. I noticed though the bad ending hints are getting more like obtuse as we've been going on. Like previous chapters, it's pretty much like at least somebody at 10:15 can help you, and now it's just like maybe a conversation would help. I don't know.
Figure it out.
But it usually gives the person who needs to not be there or whatever.
And at least for the keep outs, like if you just do other routes, it'll actually show you in the timeline who they can jump to.
Yeah. There's a lot in the tips, too, more and more. So you really have to read all the tips if you're not in the habit of doing that. But I like reading the tips anyway. I like the lore.
Yeah, they're fun.
The tips have almost like an attitude to them, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's funny. So Maria takes Hana to the security office, which is down on the first floor. And before going inside, she peeks in and sees the man with the cane, which I think at this point we could just call Tateno. Tateno's talking to the security staff, and he's like, where are all the exits and all this kind of stuff, and he's like, shut all of them down except the front, and they're like, okay. And when Maria turns around to bring Hana in, and Hana's gone. She already ran off, so Hana is still on the move. She is not caught yet. And so she heads back to try to find her again and runs yet again into the debt collectors, and they ask her to call Yanagishita. They're like, you have his number, right? And instead of doing that, she throws one of them across the hallway, and she's like, I guess I know how to fight. I guess I must have been trained in this. And which is very mysterious, and I'm very excited about all the things that Maria did while she was in the Middle East.
I know kung fu.
Yeah. So they are terrified. But then as she's about to leave, the debt collectors are afraid of her, but two of the foreign men dressed in all black that are part of this crime syndicate show up and grab her and threaten her with a knife and lead her out of the mall through a different exit. And being moved like this with two people hauling her away with a knife to her throat, she triggers a memory in her to vaguely remember the first time she met Kanan, when she saved her from being abducted while she was in the Middle East, and she took out the guys that were trying to abduct her, and she was like, wow, she's so cool, but she still doesn't quite remember who she is yet. And she also starts to talk to the men because they're trying to, I guess they're like, are you? She starts to talk to them, and they're trying to ask her questions, and she tells them, I don't know, I lost my memory, I have amnesia, I don't know who I am. And they were like, oh no, are you the other one? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, we gotta call this in. And so they start calling it in. And so Maria doesn't remember that she has a twin sister. I wonder about that, because I feel I mean, I don't know that much about amnesia, but I thought you kind of you kept really important information, how the world works and stuff like that, but I don't know if she would remember something like the fact that she had a sister.
Yeah, this really feels like literary amnesia. It fits the purpose of the narrative, and that's probably about it. Yeah.
And because I feel like having a twin, of all things, you would really feel that, but I don't know. Yeah.
Unless you just really hate your twin.
Yeah.
That's right.
We don't know.
Wish fulfillment via amnesia. They're like, oh, I forgot all the bad shit. This is great.
So Maria remembers waking up in the storehouse with amnesia, and so she's trying to communicate to the men that are taking her, but that's not what they're referring to. And she thinks about it again, and she's like, why wasn't the door locked if they were supposed to keep me in the storehouse? The door was wide open and I just walked out. Which to me, that made me think that they thought they killed her, but she wasn't dead. She just maybe because she's a super soldier. So they thought that they had killed her by hitting her really hard, but she actually just woke up and had amnesia. Or she has the regeneration powers of Hayden Panettiere from Heroes. And we don't know. And then the two men that are carrying her run away when Tateno appears, and he has a gun, and he points it at Maria, and he thinks that she's Hitomi, and she's like, I'm sorry, Hitomi, I've gotta do this. And he points the gun right at her, and that's it, to be continued.
All right. 20 minutes, 27 seconds, but I'll chalk that up to Discord having issues.
Yeah, we had technical difficulties in the middle.
Yeah, so... all right. Is it Osawa time?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think it's the middle. It's time for the lull, right? The bridge. All right.
This is a good time to go get a soda, make a sandwich.
So we last left off where Tanaka has a listening device, and so I was got a little monologue where he's derived his sense of coming out, intruding on others, born being intruded upon, but he thinks boundaries between him and others are breaking down. He's going mad and becoming something more, and it's something he can never bear. Anyway, Kajiwara falls on tables Tanaka and finds the bug in his necktie clip. I suddenly hear and admits she's the one who bugged Tanaka. Tanaka doesn't know why, and I want to know she wants. So Tanaka emailing someone to today from the yard to the lab. Tanaka was emailing Tony, and wants to cover that, so he interrupts Kajiwara, and I want to see this one, so he email, but Sawa says Tanaka was thinking he wants to behalf to. Okay, well, that's a funny choice.
I literally cannot understand what you're saying.
That's fine.
I loved it because he kept cutting out of Discord too, because so it's just like,
I was like, wow, Discord is speeding people up.
it was like flipping through the channels of a TV.
I guess we'll only know when we see the real recording how audible I was. All right, but for real, so Asawa's got this little monologue where he says he's
Spent 2
derived
minutes
his
on that
sense of
joke, by the way.
52 seconds.
Revenge.
He derived his sense of calm from not intruding on others nor being intruded upon. He thinks boundaries between him and others are breaking down. He's going mad, becoming something more, and it's something he can never bear. Who cares? We're moving on. Kajiwara full-on tackles Tanaka. Kajiwara, of course, being Detective Banana. Yes, and he finds the bug in his necktie clip. Suddenly, Ai is here, and she admits that she's the one who bugged Tanaka. Tanaka doesn't know why, or that he was bugged, and Ai wants to know why she saw Tanaka emailing someone earlier today from the yard while he said he was at the lab. Well, Tanaka, as we know, was emailing Hitomi, and Osawa wants to cover that up. So Osawa just kind of interrupts. Kajiwara and I want to see Tanaka's phone to see who he emailed, but Osawa says he's sending emails on his behalf too, and you have a choice, and you can say, to me, doesn't make sense, to someone from work, which is vague, or to Pretty Honey, which, I mean, I had to pick Pretty Honey.
Me too.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if that wasn't a 5 for 6 for 6 on that. So gets really awkward. They're like, who is Pretty Honey? And so Sawa's like, it's a personal associate of mine. You wouldn't know them. And when he's pressed, he said basically he had computer issues, asked Tanaka to send an email on his behalf. And Tanaka has errands to run for him. So he's like, Tanaka, go get to it. So everyone just lets him go. Kajiwara thinks it's weird that I gave him a tie clip, like specifically that. But anyway, he goes back to, whatever. Osawa goes back to the Aya Kamiki forums where we discover Pretty Honey is a user there. And he sees a link to the Aya Kamiki fortune teller again and decides to use it again to see if Maria's okay. And he gets back, he tries to use it for the first time, sorry. He gets back, you're a very work-minded person, and it tells him you can't do everything alone and he should connect with other people. Death Stranding 2019.
It reads him to filth. It's just like, I've detected that you're here, you jerk. And here's exactly what your problem is, asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically like, hey, I know this section of the game sucks. Let me tell you why you suck.
Let's see here. So all of a sudden, Kajiwara comes and tells Osawa there's been a development in the case. Everyone needs to go to the living room. They found the kidnapper's hideout. It's a condo in Hiro, owned by Tanaka.
Dun, dun,
but
dun.
Osawa and I protest, and Kajiwara's confused by that because he's like, wait, weren't you suspicious of Tanaka? I mean, you bugged him. But suddenly someone calls and asks if this is the home of Maria Osawa, and then Hitomi. Osawa says yes and then hangs up, and then the other person hangs up. So anyway, the cops want someone to call Tanaka, so I does it, and Kajiwara asks, well, where was Tanaka headed? And you can say to the office, or I don't know. And I said, I don't know. I can't get through to Tanaka. Osawa still trusts Tanaka, so he doesn't want to come clean and tell him he's going to Hitomi. And Kano of all people, calls Osawa, asks to speak with him, and asks if he gave the antiviral Hitomi. He thinks he knows what the kidnappers are really after. Osawa hangs up.
But there are a few bad endings you can get here if you ask him different things.
I'm about to tell you about them. If you let's just calm down there, okay?
I'm sorry.
Sassafras, okay?
Apologize.
Got 4 minutes. We're at 4 minutes 10 seconds.
Wait, so you're going to tell us about the endings now?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so he thinks he knows what the kidnappers are really after. Osawa hangs up, but thinks the kidnappers want the Ua virus. That's why he gave Hitomi the antiviral. And he tells everyone a killer virus is going to be unleashed and it's his fault. Bad end. So I went to fix this as Kano, and I accidentally had him say, this time, go to Kano's route and have him call Osawa and say, the syndicate's really after you. So, This kind of fixes it, but then Osawa needs to go to his office alone, and Kajiwara lets him, and Osawa thinks this makes perfect sense, that they'll victimize his family to extort money from him, so he takes a bunch of sleeping pills and says, A has come for me, before dying. Bad end.
Oh my god.
That's dark.
That's a really dark ending.
Yep.
Yes, it is. But now let's have Kano say, no, it's Hitomi they want. So this time he grabs some sleeping pills, but he thinks back to 6 days ago, and he gets a call at work from a guy with a voice modulator who tells him to analyze Hitomi's blood or she'll die. So he does it, and she's got the UA virus, and he formulates a plan to sneak into the deepest part of his lab to get the antiviral. But it's one of those, like, oh shit, I can't think of the name of it. The 2 keys you turn at once kind of deal, but with a fingerprint scanner. Like, you need 2 people to get in.
Like a dead I forget what that is. But yeah, see,
permissive action links, pal.
And it's the first time we see a real animation in this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
No, there was a spinning briefcase at one point.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is like a real Ocean's 11-ass graphic, though.
It is.
So he needs Tanaka to do this, so Tanaka agrees, and Tanaka is impressed he'd violate company policy for his daughter, and Osawa dislikes the fact that Tanaka was impressed by that, like thinking maybe he wouldn't do that. So that said, he does get excited, though, that they're technically doing a human trial of the... So Osawa's a nightmare person.
Yes.
Yes. He gets worse and worse every chapter.
And the best part is it's immediately after, like, Tanaka's basically like, wow, you do have a soul. Holy crap. And then he's like, of course I have a soul. Let me think about how this is experimenting on my own daughter.
It's like they wrote Achi and they're like, yeah, this guy is very quirky. He likes recycling and all that. Like, oh, we need to make this guy quirky for something else, too. How about deadly viruses?
So... Anyway, the antiviral's in her blood now, and then a visitor arrives, and in my notes I have, it's Minoru Kawa, ? He wants an interview, and we discover 4-Star General Mag is the one that ran the story about Osawa's marriage of convenience. But anyway, Minoru Kawa wants to interview one of his daughters. Osawa tries to get rid of him at the front door at Kajiwara's behest, so he takes Minoru Kawa's business card, goes inside, and just throws it in the trash. So he goes back to that internet fortune teller, and this time he's told, if you don't get over your indifference to the world might harbor quite a grudge. And he realizes he does care more about the microscopic world than people. And that's why Tanaka didn't betray him. He really didn't know Tanaka well enough for that, which I actually thought was kind of a good line.
That was a rough realization, my dude.
Yeah. It's like, he's not even good enough friends with me to have betrayed me. This is just straight up.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. So the fortune teller tells him to find a way to connect more deeply with people. Death Stranding 2019. He calls up Tanaka, who picks up, and you get a keep out, but once we get through that, Tanaka's just pretty open about it and tells him that, yeah, I resent the fact that you get all the credit and recognition for their work, and then he hangs up, except, longer and more monologue-y. Osawa remembers the tie clip that I gave him with a bug in it, and that Kajiwara thought that was an odd gift. And he remembers the article that I had a boyfriend before they got married, and he's like, could Tanaka have been that lover that she was with? So he briefly thinks Ai's a co-conspirator, but realizes the bugging him, then it makes no sense. He wants to find out about their relationship. He doesn't want to ask Ai because she's afraid he won't tell him, so he thinks there's only one man who can help him. He fishes the business card out of the trash and resolves to call, and he calls Minoru Kawa and says he's your only hope. 8 minutes, 33 seconds. That's how it's done.
So Tanaka, better father to Hitomi than Osawa is, fucking his wife.
Can I also add how much Osawa sucks? The next chapter, right? It starts at 3 p.m., like 1500 hours. His story starts at 1530. Like, there's a half an hour of the game of Osawa that just doesn't matter, apparently. And the title is Thinking About the Case. Like, what a boring, stupid friggin' story to continue.
Somebody who was writing for Osawa was just like, man, I have nothing to do here. Like, this character sucks. What are you guys doing? And they're like, you don't have to write half of it this time. Don't even bother. We're just gonna skip over it.
I wonder if it was like the whole political marriage thing.
Just have the toilet clog again.
I feel like I wonder, like, it has to all go back to that, right? Where, like, maybe, like, Ai and Tanaka were in love, and for some reason Ai's father was like, no, you're gonna marry Osawa instead, and, like, has had no idea this whole time that there's been, like, this huge drama going on in the background. Wow, what an asshole.
Yeah.
Didn't even talk to his wife enough to know any of these things.
I still love that. He's like, I can't believe Tanaka would think that about me. Anyway, at least we're getting a human trial. It's beautiful. I'm sorry. I can't get it out of my head.
Silver linings, Hey, my daughter may be infected with the deadly virus, but guess what I get to do?
Virus lemons into virus lemonade, I guess.
Oh my god.
And he also, apparently, once he cured his daughter, he didn't even think about the fact that someone knew about it and called him, and didn't follow up at all for several days.
It also doesn't bring this up earlier. Like, this never occurs to him. He's like, oh, wait a second. I remember 4 days ago when my daughter was infected with a deadly virus. Why did I didn't remember this before?
If it doesn't happen under a microscope, he just doesn't give a shit.
Hey, you know who might use this information? The fucking police who are here.
Oh my god. Does that count as company secrets or something? Like, because he technically did a crime by curing her. So he doesn't want to admit to a crime because he's that much of a fucking idiot that he thinks that he'll also be arrested for that.
Yeah, well, also it would fit that it could save his kids, but he doesn't want to admit that he did something wrong.
Well, he did human experimentation on a new medicine. That's serious.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, if it went to court, he would be like, somebody infected my daughter with the UA virus.
But, I don't know how Japanese law works, but in American law, that's a tort. Like, you broke a contract.
Look, we played Phoenix, right? We know how it works.
You can't put in a contract, like, you're going to work for us, and you have to abide by these things, and if you don't, you'll go to jail. Like, that doesn't work. You have to, like, pay a big fine or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are laws about medical experimentation, so independent of contracts.
But he was clearly coerced.
Well, on his daughter. Yeah.
But what they should have done is taken her straight into, like, a medical facility that can isolate her and not try to do it himself.
Mm-hmm. Is that a crime, though?
I'm pretty sure it is. This is serious disease. If the antidote didn't work, then...
That's true, yeah, he's not, yeah.
Well, if he was a doctor, he could do it, right?
Yeah, it wasn't approved for human.
I guess technically it's corporate theft, too. Now that I think about it.
Well, I guess he did steal it.
Well, also, if it's not like... I mean, this is getting into American stuff, but if it's not approved for human use, then, it could be considered, like, malicious intent.
Yeah, the FDA is going to be all over that.
I mean, sure, it would be a difficult trial, but I feel like if you said someone infected my daughter with the deadly virus, then people would be like, well, yeah.
I think the jury would be on your side on that one.
Yeah. I think Detective Banano might even testify on your behalf.
Either way, any good parent would just... Yeah.
You don't want him to testify on your behalf, though.
I think Detective Banana would testify on both sides against and for you at the same time.
You don't want him to testify for you because he's just going to come into the courtroom with like a rubber duck or something and put on a puppet show or whatever and make you look terrible.
Your Honor, this is literally the most interesting thing my client has ever done in his whole life.
Detective Banana would be proud of him for doing the right thing, so he would try to say, no, just charge him money, don't put him in jail.
Yeah, and let's be honest, if he had any real morals, he wouldn't give a crap about the law. He'd just do whatever it took to save his kid.
Yeah. So who's next?
That's the Minoru next, because he's kind of connected to Osawa this chapter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's me. So in this chapter, I think that we get to know even more than before that the Minoru's favorite thing to do is point at inanimate objects and scream. Because he does it all the time in this chapter.
I can't believe they faked us out with the computer.
Yeah, so as you can remember, his computer didn't work last time. I also wanted to ask, in a previous chapter, they deleted the Apple logo from his computer in the English release. And we get a lot more of this in this chapter. So did they delete everything connected to Apple from laptop shots here? Did you notice?
Wait,
No.
what do you mean? Like when? No.
Did they covered like all the branding?
So
and stuff?
in the previous chapter, when I still was reading the English as well as the Japanese, we had a shot of his laptop from the back. In Japanese, it had the Apple logo on it.
Oh,
And in
yeah,
English,
the Apple
didn't.
logo.
They just photoshopped it and deleted it.
I'm going to say it was removed again, that we didn't see it.
Yeah, in this chapter, you had a lot more shots of the computer from the front and the back. And from the front, you could it said that it's a MacBook Pro, and so they removed
wow,
all.
yeah.
They removed all the signs
They
of
removed
Apple
it.
from the initial release. Huh? Okay.
That's funny. Yeah, there was no branding on the computer.
Oh, so it's a MacBook, just so you know. So his computer didn't work. And he tries to fix it by pointing at it, screaming, which doesn't work, but does bring the waitress up to him. And she suggested it might be just out of battery, and that he plug it in. And he does, and yeah, that's where what the problem was. Makes sense. So he starts writing his articles, but the waitress still says it's being too loud because apparently he's speaking out loud while he's writing, and someone complained. And that someone is Rumi's father, and they're still in the restaurant, Rumi and his father and her father. And that makes Minoru very upset that someone complained about him. And they basically get in a verbal fight. They both are stubborn and don't want to admit they're wrong. In the end, he tries to actually hit Shizuo, Rumi's father, but Shizuo dodges, and that finally calms down and goes back to his seat. But he can't get his motivation back now that he's been distracted, so he orders spaghetti, which is a repeating motive. No, not motive. What word am I thinking about?
Motif, yeah.
Motif. Yeah.
Yeah.
Repeating motif in this chapter. He's ordering a Napolitan, which, what did the English text says about that in the tip?
Napolitan is a corruption of Neapolitan, and it's just sort of the Japanese version that isn't really related to the actual Italian version.
Yeah, so Napolitan is very popular in Japan, Napolitan pasta. It's a Japanese-invented pasta sauce called Napolitan, and they serve it everywhere. It's also kind of like ketchup with some sausage on it. It's actually
Gotcha, yeah.
It's actually pretty good. But it has nothing
I'll
to
take
do with
your word
Napoli.
for it.
It has nothing to do with Napoli, but it's called Napolitan.
Yeah. The tooltip says that there's a Milanese too in Japan that isn't anything like the actual Milanese.
Yeah. But his machine is off again because when he got up to fight Shizuo, he tripped the wire. And then he blames the restaurant for having plugs in places that are easy to pull. So he plugs in again, but he didn't back up, so most of his stuff is gone, and he had to rewrite everything. And then Rumi comes over to apologize for her father while he's in the bathroom. And Minoru remembers that he saw her 2 hours ago fighting with her father, and needs some motivation to ask her. He asks her to sit with him and talk with him for a while. And he immediately tries his luck and asks if maybe she's one of the Miss Campus twins that he's supposed to interview. And she's not, but she does know them. At which point she spits his coffee at her.
Right in her face, like literally on her face. The art is great for it too. There's just these blobs of coffee coming at the camera.
Yeah. So Rumi was apparently once Miss Campus for a couple of years ago, because everything in this game is connected. And she was in the judging committee this year, so she knows about the twins. And she tells Minoru that they're Sawa twins and that they live close by. She also tells him that they didn't apply for the contest together, and that they have very different personalities. Osawa thinks this is interesting, and he likes that they live close by because it's closer to the university where he was supposed to go. So he tries calling all the Osawas in the phone book and gets lucky on the first try. And that's the call Osawa got, asking if this was the place where Maria and Itami lives.
Yep. Also, this is when we got the tooltip where it says they're fraternal. She tells him they're fraternal, and the tooltip says that they would have different blood types.
Okay. And he gets his Napolitan, and because he asked for a lot of cheese, the waiters just gave him a mountain of cheese on it, which is kind of funny.
Wait a second, they are fraternal twins?
Yes, they're not identical, they're fraternal. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it is pasta. The waitress still made a team. There's a funny scene where it switches between two photos. One with looking at the food and she's angry, and one where he's looking at her and she's...
He's been really rude to the waitress the entire time.
Yes.
He's so rude.
Okay, so we're done with the restaurant. He goes out and he decides to go to the Osawa house before going to the theater. We're supposed to interview the director. He gets Kimizuka's taxi again, which I guess Kimizuka's stalking him, because this is a really good coincidence if he isn't.
Yeah, he's just the best taxi cab in all of Tokyo. That's why he shows up on demand when needed without even asking.
Yeah. So they get
or Minoru Kawa just throws lots of money at him, and this guy's just putting his kids through college.
Yeah, but he refuses to take more money from him later.
Yeah.
Anyway, they get to the Osawa place, and there's no response from the intercom at first, but you can decide to try again or leave and go directly to the theater. You're supposed to stay. And there are a few bad endings that can occur here. So you can see Osawa getting dragged away in handcuffs. And that's if he admitted that he unleashed the virus in his route. You can end up talking to Ai, and she sends the cop after you because you're working for that magazine that published the bad article about her, and they arrest you. Or you can just have the cops go out on their own. That's if Osawa killed himself, and the cop think that he's the one he was talking about in his last words, that A is coming. So they come out and arrest you. Or you can do, if you did everything right in Osawa's route, then he actually gets on the intercom and then comes out and takes your business card. You ask him to call you back when his daughters are home. He also notices the blinds are drawn in the house, so he thinks something suspicious is going on there. So we're done here. We're off to the theater to do our interview with the director.
This rules, by the way.
Yeah, his great interviewing techniques.
Yeah, this was actually my least favorite part of the chapter. This entire interview.
I didn't get it at first, but then once you remember, he's doing this on purpose.
Yes.
He's getting this man riled up on purpose, then it becomes very funny.
Yeah, so this director is also very proud of himself and likes to point at things and scream.
This is the one part that I'm glad is not voiced, is Minoru Kawa screaming at things.
Yeah, so Minoru Kawa calls him, so I asked a little bit about it already. So in English, apparently, he calls him Ori instead of Ori.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In Japanese,
Which
it says...
doesn't really work.
Yeah, in Japanese, it says Owarai, which basically means big laugh. He calls him LOL, basically.
Which is a better joke than just calling him Or-I, which is... like somebody wanted to make a pun and no.
It's also closer. It's Owarai and Owarai.
Yep.
Yeah, I had trouble when he was calling him Ori. I was like, what's wrong exactly? You know?
So they have the interview, and his assistant is also there, with a woman that is very disturbed by what's going on and tries to fix the situation. He gets her name wrong too. So what did they do in English here? Do you remember?
I don't. Was that in there? Our reading
Because
in English?
Her name is Sukuzawa, and Minorikawa calls her Sugowaza, which means something like an amazing trick.
Oh, so I don't think they may have done the mispronunciation, but I don't think they did any kind of joke with it.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Sugowaza is just not a name. It's basically it's literally an amazing trick. So yes, there's another pun here that I guess it didn't translate at all.
Yeah.
So back the interview goes that Minoru tries to get out of him why he stopped being a TV writer and went into the theater. And he ends up getting out of him that TV writing pays more, but theater is what he's into, and it's much more fulfilling. And apparently goes into a 15-minute, very emotional story about his life. So Minoru is pleased with what he got out of him. But then he slips out the title of the article he was about to write. What is the title in English?
Oh, it's like washed up directors. Where are they now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Aura is mad that his article is about washed up director. But then Minoru gets the call from Osawa. And he's intrigued, but he wants something more to follow because Osawa asks him to research the previous 4-star general story about him and his wife. Minoru wants him telling something more, and Osawa tells him that the world's power balance is on the line, and that he'll get the rest after he does his research. So Minoru agrees, and he's off with extra energy to be continued.
All right.
He did it. He got all the articles.
That is 13 minutes, 7 seconds. Okay, 13:07.
Okay,
All right,
Kano
Paula.
time.
Kano time. And
If you're going to do this, you got it. If you're going to speed run Shibuya Scramble, then, you got your work cut out, buddy. Good luck.
well, I apparently chose easy mode because not a lot happens in Kano's story this time, and it starts pretty much with an immediate keep out. So we're picking up from the last time where all those guys were found murdered by Kano and Stanley. And one of them whispered the name Cannon, and here's where Stanley reveals to Kano, after much prodding, that Cannon is an assassin from the Middle East and is involved in covert spy kind of stuff. And Stanley doesn't want to reveal too much more than that, but they're looking around and seeing, what kind of evidence they can find in the area, and they find a relay plan for the ransom, which is a map of all their guys and where the eventual end of it is. And it leads to a condo, which is owned by Minoru Tanaka. So Osawa's partner is involved in this somehow, which we've kind of figured at this point. They make their way to the condo, and they're seeing one of the relay guys with the case making his way there. Kano bursts out of the car and makes the arrest. They apprehend the guy, and they get the briefcase as well. They open it, and inside is in fact a bunch of actual ransom money. But Stanley seems disappointed in this, and he says this is a decoy, because what he was actually expecting was samples of the antiviral. And it's here that they kind of suss out that Hitomi is involved with the antiviral, and what they're really wanting is that And I can't quite remember if they figured out that it's in her at this point, or maybe that she just has it. But they know that they're really trying to get to her. And this is where Kano calls to confirm it with Osawa and be like, did you give your daughter the antiviral? I guess thinking at this point that maybe he just kind of gave it to her in safekeeping. But we have another keep out here. And then this is where you get the bad endings with Osawa. And when I first chose this, I kind of offhand just chose the syndicate is after the virus, which leads to the bad ending where Osawa's imagining the city all infested with the virus and people dropping dead. And it cuts to this scene that I enjoyed, which is him just kind of looking up at the sky, and this plane goes overhead and just drops this huge fuck off bomb right into the camera.
Because that's how we deal with Ebola.
Yeah.
And it's not even anime, it just kind of gets bigger on the screen.
Yeah.
It's like one of those like stop motion things where it's just like, oh, it's really big now.
Like, it doesn't fall over the horizon or anything. It just flies straight into the camera.
Yep.
So of course we can say the right thing, which is they're after Hitomi. Let's see. They have to find Al Kurawan because of the conversation that they saw him have with Hitomi. And they remembered that he said something, but they didn't know what that was. So they have to find him again. And Sasayama is called in to make that apprehension. But Toyama gets caught up in the scuffle. Toyama, the editor guy with the missing daughter. And Sasayama winds up being stabbed. But they still arrest the guy. And at first I'm thinking, okay, this is a whole bunch of shit that we're going to have to do with everyone else, where it's like, okay, Toyama can't actually be there because then Sasayama gets stabbed and Kano is so sad that he quits the police force and goes to, I don't know, sell magazines somewhere. But no, that's actually what happens.
No, Sasayama.
So we don't know if Sasayama's dead or not, but I don't know, maybe he is.
Got a big friggin' knife in his stomach. It don't look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
It's a cartoonish injury.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing is when Kano is like getting upset and like looking at the monitors, Stanley has a line and he says, "My brother was just like you," implying a tragic backstory that we may learn later.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of puts it forward like that, but Kano doesn't really care. Like, he doesn't, your brother. He's too excited and into it while he's watching the monitors. They're looking at all the cameras around Shibuya trying to find the guy.
I still think Stanley's going to be evil.
Yeah, probably. And Stanley's like, you get too excited for this stuff.
And he's going to be like, I never had a brother.
I had a brother, but I killed him. He was just like you.
Damn, Stanley.
But yeah, that's it. Kano doesn't really do much this chapter, and I don't think any of the choices that anybody else makes even impacts him. It's just a series of keep outs.
So there's one ending that happens right at the end of Kano's chapter that's the best ending in the game so far, I think.
No, I must have missed it.
Oh, that was really good.
And that's actually the farthest away from what triggers it. So the very first choice you do with Tama, with Maria, causes it.
Will you let the shopkeep take care of the outfit for you?
Yeah, so if you let the shopkeep take care of the suit, then, what's his name? The cosplay detective?
Sasayama.
Yeah, Sasayama decides to get the cat suit as a disguise instead of whatever he wears at the end.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, someone else wants to take it because I think I'm going to make a poor job explaining you what happens.
I kind of forget exactly what happens.
Okay, so
I'm going to guess he tries to make the apprehension, but he can't do it because the cat suit is big.
It's weirder. It's much weirder. So yeah, he can't do it. But then the guy from the costume shop, the costume rental place, is there trying to get the costume back. And he thinks that it's what's his name? Why am I keeping blanking out the names today?
You think it's Yanagashita?
I think it's Yanagashita in there. And Kano goes to the scene, of course, so they're all there. And they can't get the suit open again. It's stuck again.
Oh my god.
So now Sasayama has become the new Tama.
No, so suddenly they hear a meow coming from inside the suit. And if you remember, it happened before with Tama too. Like a cat meow, a real cat meow. And the rental guy talks about how they made a mistake renting out the suit because that suit is CATS, C-A-T-S, capital letters.
Yep.
And that the tips tell us that's a code for what I'm not sure if they actually did the same in English, but I think it's costume as the transmission device or something like that.
I was taking notes. I was so busy taking notes for Osawa, but yeah, it's an initial. It's an acronym for something like. And
you also get like a schematic of the cat suit and it has all these robotics parts in it.
Oh my god.
Yep.
So the custom metal guy gets panicked because something is going on there. Something is starting to happen with the suit. And suddenly they're getting assaulted by a lot of meows. And the soundtrack is just cats, like 1,000 cats meowing. And then they get sucked into the cat dimension.
Yeah.
And that's the end.
That's what my cat was trying to do with the ventilation system.
He's opening the portal.
Yeah, and that's the bad ending. And if you
Yeah,
didn't see it,
it's pretty
then
wonderful.
go watch it because it's
Yeah,
really
I'm
good.
gonna go do that now. Oh my
I'm
god.
watching it literally now. It's costume as transmission system, and they just spin around like Bill and Ted style, going into a different universe.
Oh my god.
It's pretty wonderful. Congratulations, Pola, though. You were technically the fastest.
Well, like I said, I think I chose easy mode because Kano didn't do a lot this time.
Just take the fucking victory. Jesus Christ. Ugh. So disappointing. Anyway, I'm just kidding, buddy.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and I also I didn't write this down, so I got this ending from memory, so I may have gotten some things wrong. So go look at it, go watch it.
Well, you did better than me. I was just like something portal. Like that was all I remembered.
Something
really.
portal.
Like some portal had happened, and it was really funny.
What a good video game.
Yeah. It was funny too because you had mentioned it in chat, but I guess I saw the wrong number. Like I thought you said 38, and like 38 is like something like when what do you call it? When you get the bad ending when I confronts Minoru outside and threatens him with cops. I'm like, that's not a great ending. I'm like, what we're in like that? I guess I just read the number wrong. I didn't realize it was 35.
The implication is that when Maria was in the cat suit, she was also very close to getting sucked into the cat dimension.
Yeah.
Because she started meows just before she took the suit out.
But because Maria was pure of heart, she was able to resist the cat dimension.
I still love Minoru Kawa's succumbing to death after losing rock paper scissors, even though he didn't really lose. Is my favorite. But
That was great.
This was pretty great.
What I love about Minoru Kawa is just, I mean, we said this last time, but he's never discouraged about anything. He's never like flustered or anything. Like his computer breaks and all the shit that he put on it was lost, but he just starts writing it out by hand like nothing.
I want to know, like, since he's like in a lot of other games, if he's like voiced at any point.
He's in a sequel. By the way, there's an anime sequel someone on Twitter told me about. I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, I told you about it last time.
No, it's this person. Thanks, Coop Nuggy. By the way, there's an animal sequel called Kanan. It's not as good as the game, but Minoru Kawa's fantastic in it. Thank you, Coop.
You got some other stuff there you want to tell us that Oren already told us? But your friend on Twitter told you?
It's, I don't know Co-op Dougie that well. I can see it right here, though. I have proof. I can't help you.
I heard somewhere that he was in something else too, but I think by Spike Chunsoft, but they might
You
have
could
just
probably
been
ask Co-op Dougie for all that information.
Was somebody just talking to you? Turn around there and catch that.
Anyways, did you know that in Japan that the spaghetti sauce is actually ketchup?
No way.
Wow.
Co-op Dougie strikes again.
I knew that before Co-op Dougie told me.
You know, I heard about this game called Danganronpa that Co-op Dougie did a whole Let's Play of on something awful.
I heard you did most of the fan translation.
What? I don't... What a hero.
Shout out
That
to
piece
Co-op
of
Dougie,
shit made
everybody.
me quit the SA forums. I'm gonna kill you, Co-op Dougie. Oh. Anyway.
On that note.
Wrap it up in a
You know
nice
what we're
tight
doing.
hour
See you
and 40
next time.
minutes.
Another hour down as the case continues to move forward very slowly, but it feels action-packed when it's happening.
It is like 24.
It feels kind of bad that we're moving slower than the actual game is.
I don't feel that bad. I feel pretty good.
Yeah, it's never boring except for Osawa.
If you want it faster,
Yeah.
then play the game yourself.
Just hit enter. That's right.
Dead to rights.